Ash's Alola team is severely underrated. It's without a shred of doubt one of his strongest and best teams ever, no question. But Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are some of the hardest Pokemon games out there, so now we can ask the question, can Ash's Alola team beat Pokemon Ultra Sun version? The game starts, and of course our starter is Pikachu, and we immediately add Rowlet to our team. We also receive the Z Power Ring and the Rotom deck. Then we head to the trainer school where we have a battle against the principal, and I forgot how long this game's intro is, bro. It takes forever to actually be able to play the game freely. We arrive in Howley City next, and the first thing I do is customize my character. I look just like Sun and Moon Ash, bro. The resemblance is uncanny. It's so cool. Next, we meet Trial Captain Lima, and we're forced to battle against him. He's rocking a team of normal type Pokemon, and Rowlet takes care of his young with absolute ease, but then he brings in a Smeargle. So I bring in Pikachu and get crit by a tackle, but then we get a static to go off. And I almost forgot how broken early game Pikachu is. He one-shot Smeargle with Thunderbolt. We head to Verdant Cavern next for our first trial, and it's pretty straightforward. All we gotta do is knock out the Pokemon that are hiding in their dens and then take on the Totem Pokemon. So we KO Youngoost number 1 and Youngoost number 2. Then the Goats Team Skull pull up just to ruin my trial. But Rowlet bodies both Team Skull and the final den Pokemon being Gumshoos, and now we can take on the big-ass Totem Gumshoos. I was a little concerned at first with the +1 defense boost, but Rowlet is the absolute GOAT. He buys the ally Pokemon, then gets put in Overgrow and takes down Totem Gumshoos with Razor Leaf. That aura defense boost cannot match Rowlet's aura. And with that, we have earned our first Z Crystal and completed our very first trial. Then we get introduced to the Ultra Recon Squad, Zacian and Dulce. So something really weird started happening in my game. Like, it was showing oddly colored Pokemon, like some kind of glitch, I think. Like, I know Pokemon, bro, and Noibat is not normally that color, but it's fine, because I knocked it out and the game went back to normal. I really gotta fix that glitch, man. Now it's time for our first grand trial against Kahuna Olivia, the user of fighting types. For this battle, Ash used Rowlet and Pikachu. Olivia opens with Machop and we lead with Pikachu, and Pikachu early game is just so insane, bro. He one-shot Machop with Thunderbolt. Makahita comes in next, and now it's Rowlet's time to shine. And 2 pecks is all it takes for the KO. Then he brings in his Ace Crow Brawler. And this guy is actually pretty bulky, but Rowlet can still handle this. A few pecks and some Razor Leaves is all it takes to knock out his Crow Brawler. And with that, we have completed our very first grand trial, only 3 more left. But before going to the next we need to add a Pokemon to our team. At 10 Carrot Hill, we can find a Rockruff and add it to our team. And we can also add Litten to our team. Then we Mantine Surf our way to Akala Island. I gotta say, bro, Mantine Surfing is like one of the most fun mini games they've ever added to main series Pokemon games. It should come back one day. Then we meet the Edge Lord himself, Gladion from Team Skull. And we also meet Lana for our second trial. The trial part is pretty easy, but I'm kind of concerned about the Totem Pokemon, and Totem Rack winning it in the rain is no joke, bro. This thing is actual demon. But I was worried for absolutely nothing. Pikachu is still pretty insane. That's 2 trials down. We fight the Ultra Recon Squad next, and they use a single Point Ball, which Litten absolutely scorched, bro. He sent that poor Point Ball to hell. Then we arrive at Royal Avenue. This town is kind of forgettable, aside from the fact that that's where Battle Royales take place. And then we also meet the GOAT himself, the very mysterious man, the Masked Royale. Absolutely no clue who that could be. But honestly, bro, the Battle Royale free-for-alls were super fun in this game. It should bring it back someday, like in Pokemon Champions, for 4 people to play at once. We head to Ella Volcano Park for our fire trial next. This trial is a super easy rhythm game, but what's not super easy is the Totem Pokemon, bro. I am terrified to fight this giant Totem Marowak, Alola Marowak. But Pikachu does do some huge damage with a single Thunderbolt, but we get cursed by it, unfortunately, as Marowak goes for a Flame Wheel and one-shots Pikachu from full. So we try Rockruff next as he summons an ally Salazzle, and then Rockruff gets one-shot by Brick Break, bro. This is going terribly. Next, we try out Litten. I'm not even sure what he's supposed to do here, bro. Like, he gets beat up by a Venom Shock. We're not even poisoned, and then taken down by Brick Break. This is, we can't win this. Rowlet is obviously scorched by Flame Wheel, bro. We lost terribly. Like, that was bad. That was really bad. I'm not even really sure what the game plan is for the rematch. I'm just gonna go and do it. Round 2 starts, and Rockruff again gets one shot by a single Brick Break. But Litten's actually putting in work with these bites, bro. It's somehow eating the Brick Breaks and bringing Marowak just barely to 1 HP. And now we can have Pikachu clean up both Marowak and Salazzle. But Litten was 100% the MVP of that trial. Now it's time for our grass type trial at Lush Jungle. And this one is just a really lame scavenger hunt. Now, people say that Totem Lurantis is really insane, but I never really saw it to be all that difficult. Like, I'm simply just going to lead with Litten and pop an Inferno Overdrive Z move. Absolutely nuking and one-shotting Totem Lurantis, bro. No big deal. I did not get the hype around this thing. And we've now finished all 3 trials on Akala Island. We head to the Dimensional Research Lab next, where we meet Professor Kukui's wife, Professor Burnett. And it's here that we get a whole dickload of info about Ultra Space and Ultra Wormholes. And when we step outside, we even see a tiny Ultra Ultra Wormhole in the sky. Next, we head through Diglett Tunnel, and for some reason, I hate this part of the game. I couldn't tell you why. It's like the one part of the game I just don't like. We fight Team Skull too, but I'm happy to leave this cave, bro. I can't say this part of the game. We finally arrive in Coney City next. But before we can face Kahuna Olivia, we gotta fight Team Skull Nest because they are harassing Faba and the Aether Foundation. But low-key, I'm kinda on board, bro. Faba is a slime ball. We do not rock with Faba around here. But then we also get confronted by Team Skull's admin, Plumeria. But I kind of forgot about the Plumeria fight, so I already boxed most of my team besides Rowlet and Rockruff for the Kahuna battle, so we only have 2 Pokemon to take on Plumeria. But it's all good because both her Pokemon are weak to rock, and Rockruff has an absolute field day of both of them. Now we face my Black Queen Olivia. For this battle, Ash used Rockruff and Rowlet. But I did not think she was gonna leave with a rock and bug type, bro. Rowlet's kind of cooked here, so we gotta switch straight into Rockruff. And he is instantly crit by a bug bite, bro. And just barely takes the Metal Claw, and we can take down Anorith with a Rock Slide. Next, she brings in Lily. We switch to Rowlet on the grass type move, and thankfully she goes to Drain, which we can stomach. Her Rowlet is just not doing enough damage to this thing with Razor Leaf, and she has Ancient Power, but we're actually kind of taking it pretty well. We can 1v1 this thing, I'm pretty sure. So I just say fuck it and pop our grass type Z move Bloom Doom. But it still is not enough to knock out this damn Lily, bro. On the bright side though, we do get put in Overgrowth from Ancient Power, and she doesn't get any Ancient Power boost. So Rowlet can finally knock out Lily. Then her ace Lycanroc comes in. There's not like much we can do here. We die to a bite. And she goes for the rock type Z move on the 4 HP Rockruff, bro. That was not necessary. I can't believe we lost this. This game's getting hard now, dude. But now I know for the rematch to not lead Rowlet. So this time we lead Rockruff to fight her Anorith. We again get crit turn 1 by Metal Claw, and then Rock Slide comes out and thankfully one-shots this Anorith, bro. I'm not playing this thing anymore. Rowlet comes in to once again face Lily, and it's just like last time, except this time I actually timed my Z move usage a lot better. So Rowlet's Bloom Doom Z move is in fact able to knock out Lily this time. Then Lycanroc comes back in and knocks her out with Bite just like last time. I use my one and only heal on Rockruff because he has to fight this Lycanroc one way or another, bro. Just like the anime too, Lycanroc Midnight against Rockruff. I'm scared how it's gonna go. But I forgot I have X items, and I pop an X defense on Rockruff to boost his defense, and we stomach the bite. Then we do huge damage at Rock Tomb and lower Lycanroc speed. But she's still fast, and we almost die to a crit bite, but Rockruff hangs on and knocks out Lycanroc with the Rock Slide, finally taking down Olivia. That's 2 Grand Trials down, 2 to go. We're halfway there. It's around this time when the anime that Ash adds Poipole to his team. Then we can evolve Litten into the Torracat, and Rockruff and Lycanroc Dust Form. Then we get invited to the Aether Foundation by Faba, and it's here that we meet Luzamine. Then out of nowhere, an Ultra Wormhole opens up and Nihilego comes through. Now it's time for our very first Ultra Beast fight, and this thing has a +2 defense boost from its aura. But Lycanroc does is the superior rock type, and he takes care of Nihilego with ease. Then Nihilego just kind of dips, but the Ultra Recon Squad's also here, and it turns out they're working with Luzamine to stop Necrozma together. We arrive on Ula Ula Island next, and the first thing we do is have a battle against Hal. But then Lycanroc just one-shots his Dark Trick with Stone Edge, and Pikachu gets destroyed in a 1v1 by Vaporeon, bro. How did we lose to a Vaporeon? Rowlet locks in and takes out Vaporeon since Pikachu somehow couldn't do it. I still don't get how I lost 1v1, bro. And now it's time for Poipole to get some screen time. So at 1v1's Hal's Voidbat stomachs his wing attack and does huge damage to Venoshock. But then Hal's Alolan Raichu knocks out Poipole with Psychic. And Hal's Raichu's kind of cracks, bro. Look how much he did to Torracat with a single Psychic. We almost got one shot by that one move. Bite does not do no damage, and Torracat loses 1v1 to the Hal's Raichu. Lycanroc thankfully wins it for us, but dude, we almost lost that battle, bro. This game's actually getting pretty hard. After the battle, Hal gives us Lycanroc's signature Z move, which is perfect because Ash's Lycanroc actually did in fact use the Lycanroc Z move. We head to Mount Hokalani next, where we get a glimpse of the first Pokemon League for Alola. It is genius having on the highest mountain in the region, bro. That is awesome. We get a Steelium Z from Elaine, and now it's time for our next trial. This trial is a matching puzzle that we're using to power up Softclase's Vikavolt robot thingy or whatever it is. But then his robot turns and targets all the Chargebugs. He's about to nuke all of them, bro. This poor little Chargebug. Then Togedemaru comes out the cut and saves the day with Lightning Rod, absorbing all the power, but still too strong. He's gonna overload and get himself hurt. Then Big Daddy Totem Togedemaru pulls up and saves its baby. And this guy is pissed. And for some reason, he's pissed at me. I didn't make the robot, bro. Be mad at Sophocles. But I am not concerned, bro. We have a whole fire type, and all it takes is one single fire blast to send this guy all the way to hell. Easiest trial yet. We go back to Maui Garden, where Professor Kakui's getting harassed by Team Skull. That's when the King of Aura himself, Guzma, appears, and we're forced to battle against him. This lead is kind of rough for me because I led Torracat into Gliscopod, and we do good damage at Fire Blast, but it's not enough, and we get one shot by Razor Shell. So Pikachu comes, then knocks out G-Pop with Electro Ball. Then Pikachu also takes down his Master Green with Thunderbolt. And then Guzma has a whole ass crash out after losing. We meet Incineroar next, and now it's time for our next trial at the 50 mega mark. This trial involves taking pictures of ghost-type Pokemon and then beating them up afterwards. This trial's totem is Mimikyu, and we have to beat it with Pikachu, bro. That's the only way we can beat this trial. It has to be with Pikachu, just like the anime. Now, in the anime, Ash beat Totem Mimikyu with the 10 million volt Thunderbolt Z move. And after breaking this guy's disguise, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, bro. I am Ash, and that means I get all of Ash's plot armor. I cannot lose. That Z move is still so sick, bro. I cannot believe that Pikachu got 2 exclusive Z moves. We head back to the Aether house next, and Team Skull's already here, and turns out they stole a little kid's young goose. So we Sharpedo surf our way through some boulders, head to the very beautiful Ula Ula Meadow, and we arrive at Team Skull's main headquarters, Po Town. And I truly love this part of the game, but there are just so many Team Skull grunts you have to battle along the way. We arrive at the Shady House next, where we find Guzma and the stolen young goose. The battle against Boss Guzma starts, and Pikachu gets one shot by first impression, bro. This is already off to a terrible start for us. So we bring in Lycanroc Dusk next, and we do some huge damage to Stone Edge, but not enough to knock him out, and he gets forced out of the emergency exit. In comes the Pinsir, and it's somehow faster than my Lycanroc and does huge damage to Storm Throw, but Lycanroc hangs on and knocks out Pinsir with Rock Slide. Then Goliath's revenge goes Lycanroc first impression again, bro. This thing's tearing me apart. And I am very clearly overestimating Rowlet because he does absolutely no damage with Pluck. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to beat this thing, bro. It's got Sucker Punch and it knocks out Rowlet. We have 2 Pokemon left now. We bring in Torracat and go for the Flame Charge, and this thing still will not go down, bro. We lose Torracat to Goliath just like last time, and now we have 1 Pokemon left. It's all up to the GOAT, Poipole. Poipole clutched up and knocks out Goliath in a shock, and then knocks out Masquerain as well. And just like last time, Guzma has an entire crash out after losing. We get young Goose back and return to the Aether house, but this time Lily's been kidnapped by Team Skull, which Gladion's mad at me for. I don't know why he's getting mad at me for. I didn't kidnap her. So we bodied him in a battle, and now it's time to go to the Aether Foundation to save Lily. But before then, we gotta face Kahuna Nanu. In the Sun and Moon anime, Nanu made Ash fight his entire team, only using Lycanroc Dusk form. So we're gonna do just that. He leads Sableye, and Lycanroc does huge damage to Stone Edge and tanks a Shadow Ball. So now we can pop an X attack to boost our attack even further to guarantee the sweep. So Lycanroc goes on the body Sableye with Rock Slides. He brings in Rock, and it gets it intimidated off, which is kind of unfortunate, but we're still strong enough to one-shot him with Brick Break. Then he brings in his ace Alolan Persian and gets off a strong Dark Pulse. Lycanroc barely hangs on, and now we can go for our signature Z move. And honestly, bro, Lycanroc Z move Splinter Storm Shards might be up there for one of the coolest Z moves ever. We completely cooked that Alolan Persian and finished the grand trial. Now we're back at the Aether Foundation, and Team Skull has a clean-ass bow, bro. That's tough. And we're pretty much raiding the entire facility with Hal and Gladion. And either my team just freaking sucks, or these battles are actually getting pretty difficult, man. We're having a tough time with some of these. So now we gotta fight that jackass Slime Ball Faba, and Rowlet does no damage to his Claydol with Leaf Blade, bro. He gets cooked by a Ledian's Air Slash. And this Claydol is a freaking wall, bro. Not even a crunch of Lycanroc can knock him out, and we get taken down by Earth Power. How the hell am I getting swept by a single Claydol? I am not Ash for real, bro. Torracat comes in and finally knocks out Claydol with Flame Charge, and he brings in a Bruxish. And Hal sold me so hard, bro. I'm thinking that he's gonna go for the Electric type, move on to the Water type, but no. For some reason, he used Psychic, doesn't KO the Bruxish, obviously, and we get freaking destroyed by Waterfall. Why would you not use Thunderbolt, bro? What are we doing, Hal? So I gotta pick up Hal's slack and knock out the Bruxish, because Hal couldn't do for some reason. Hypno comes in next, and Pikachu just barely misses the KO and goes down to Psychic, and now we're brought down to our last Pokemon, bro. How am I getting beat by Faba this badly? But I honestly blame Hal. It should not have been this close, but he helped me, bro. Fuck Hal! And it turns out that Team Skull is also here, bro. They got everybody in this bitch. And Guzma somehow bodied Gladion in the battle. I have no idea how Gladion lost to a team of all bug types. Now we gotta pick up Gladion's slack and take on Guzma ourselves. I am scared of first impression, so this time I lead Torracat and go for a huge Fire Blast to do half to the Goliath and force him out with an emergency exit. He brings in Pinsir next, who somehow outspeeds our Torracat, and we get one shot by a single Stone Edge, bro. What Lycanroc does is completely locked in and knocks out Pinsir, Vikavolt, Golisopod, and Masquerain all back to back to back to back. Guzma once again crashes out after losing, and we go to meet the Ultra Recon squad. I'm not sure why they keep trying to battle with a single point, but bro, at least evolve it if you want me to kind of threat. Like, this is nothing to me. Then we finally find Lily with Lusamine, and now we can see how truly insane Lusamine is with her collection of frozen Pokemon, bro. What is wrong with this lady? So now we gotta face Lusamine's crazy fine ass in the battle, and she leaves it to Fable. And we lead with Torracat and do some good damage with Fire Fang, but then she goes for a Charm, which is kind of annoying because now our Fire Fang is gonna do absolutely no damage to this thing. And she swaps straight to Milotic on our Fire Blast, and we obviously do damage to Milotic. So we bring in Pikachu, who almost gets one shot by Dragon Pulse, bro. I am sleeping on how frail Pikachu really is. But he thankfully hangs on, and we take out Milotic with Thunderbolt. Now it's Rowlet against Lilligant, and for some reason, Rowlet is taking way too much damage on Petal Dance, bro. It's a quad resist. I don't know why it's doing so much damage. We go for the Brave Bird, and somehow Lilligant hangs hangs on just barely on like 2 health. We take a lot from recoil and we lose the 1v1 to a grass type, bro. That's so embarrassing for Rowlet. But then Torracat takes over half from a single petal advance, bro. How strong is that grass? Is it that good? Did I sleep on Lilligant? Clefable comes back in, but this time there's no Milo to stop Torracat from fighting this Clefable. Torracat just barely lives the Moonblast on 7 and we take out Clefable, and then she brings in Beware and it almost gets one shot by Fire Blast. But then Torracat dodges takedown and knocks out Beware. Absolute GOAT. Lopunny then KOs both Torracat and somehow Pikachu. I'm tired of Pikachu making these embarrassing L's, bro. It's pissing me off. Leaving us down to one final Pokemon, our Poipole, who thankfully knocks out the Lopunny. But bro, that was a tough battle. Losing me is no joke. So even though she lost, she still opens an Ultra Wormhole using Cosmonic's power and goes to Ultra Space alongside Guzma to stop Necrozma. And Cosmo has evolved into Cosmoem. We wrap on Poni Island next, and we meet Trial Captain Mina, and we also see Hafu become Poni Island's Kahuna. Then we go to Executor Island and get the Sun Flute, and this part of the game makes me so emotional. I have no idea why. This island is just so pretty. Look at the nice little rainbow. I love Executor Island. Then we get ambushed by a mini Team Skull army. And after bodying all of them, Plumeria shows up, but she's not here to battle us. She wants us to help Guzma return from Ultra Space safely with losing me. Now we arrive at one of the best parts of the entire game and probably the best location in the entire Alola region, vast Poni Canyon. This game is freaking awesome, bro. I love that part. Now we gotta face the GOAT, Totem Como, best pseudo, by the way. I don't care what anybody says, I'm not hearing you out. And this guy has an entire Omni boost, which would be scary, but I have a master plan to face this Totem Como. We leave Poipole and tech the Dragon Claw and go for a Toxic, and now he's on a timer. This is like the first time that Poipole's actually putting in work on a 1v1, bro. He 10s Dragon Claw again, wait for Missions to Screech, and we got off a huge finish shot. Well, not really huge, still does no damage, but damage is damage on that Como. The Toxic finally racks up enough damage to knock out Totem Como, then Lycanroc takes down the allied Noivern, and we have earned our Dragonium Z Crystal, defeating the trial. We arrive at the Altar of the Sun, bro, and you know, if you've played this game before, you know what the fuck is about to go down here, bro. We play the Sun and Moon Flutes as that giant beam fires out of the altar to evolve Cosmoem into Solgaleo, who, by the way, is way cooler than Lunala. But then out of nowhere, Guzma falls out of the sky alongside Lusamine, and the demon himself, Necrozma, has pulled up to Alola for smoke. And poor Solgaleo, bro. He just evolved, and his first fight is against Necrozma, and it's a very cool cutscene, but Necrozma bodies him and pins him to the ground with his hand. Necrozma and Solgaleo fuse to create Duskmane Necrozma, who looks so freaking cool, bro. I love this form. So now we gotta face Necrozma in battle. I lead with Pikachu and go straight for the 10 million volt Thunderbolt Z move, and it does not do as much damage. It only did half. I thought I was gonna do a lot more than that. Pikachu gets taken out by Psycho Cut from Duskmane Necrozma. But Torracat comes in and finishes out Necrozma with a Fire Blast, and once he faints, he retreats back to Ultra Space and takes Alola's light with him. So we chase Necrozma all the way to a whole different world, Ultra Megalopolis, a world where its light has already been stolen by Necrozma. When we find Necrozma, it's already harnessing all the light it stole and now has enough power to go into its terrifying but also very beautiful Ultra form. And bro, I have a master plan to face Ultra Necrozma. It's not gonna fail. Even though he has a +1 boost to all of his stats, which is insane, this plan will work. So we lead with Poipole. Now, I'll be real, this plan is super lame. I'll keep it a buck, but you actually can find a Focus Sash item on Poni Island before you fight Ultra Necrozma. So Poipole tanks the Dragon Pulse on 1 HP thanks to our Focus Sash, and we get off the Toxic on Ultra Necrozma. Now it's just a game of waiting. So Necrozma bodies Poipole with Photon Geyser, and now it's time for part 2 of my master plan. In X Special Defense allows Rowlet to barely live the Power Gem on 13 health, and after spamming heals, Sucker Punch still can't knock out Necrozma, and he takes down Rowlet with Power Gem, but it's fine because now he's in range to die to Toxic. I know, it was super lame, but I have no other way to beat Ultra Necrozma, bro. With Ultra Necrozma defeated, the light leaves his body and goes back to Alola. And now we're almost done with this game. It's time for our final trial, and this is the worst trial in the entire game, bro. You go around the entire region collecting petals from all the characters. You even gotta battle some of them. This is the worst trial ever, bro. It's pretty much just a wild goose chase. So after we get all the petals, we can finally face our final totem Pokemon, Totem Ribombee. And I am not concerned, bro. All we need is Lycanroc to live one move, which he does, and now we can pop our signature Z move, Splintered Storm Shards, to absolutely destroy that poor fairy bug. Easiest totem yet. Now it's time for our final grand trial against Kahuna Hafu, and she uses ground type Pokemon. In the anime, Ash only used Pikachu to fight her ground types, and I tried. fight, bro, but this is literally impossible to do with only Pikachu. We got destroyed in a single first turn. I tried like 5 more times after this. It's not possible, bro. You can't beat Hapu with just Pikachu. So this time I brought Rowlet, and Rowlet had an absolute field day against this team of ground types, bro. He destroyed Golurk, destroyed Flygon, took down Mudsdale, and bodied Gastrodon. Hapu stood 0 chance against the GOAT Rowlet, and now we have completed our last grand trial. But we're obviously still missing one more Pokemon on our team, and we can't get Melmetal because it's not in the game. So according to the writers of the Pokemon anime, Ash actually does in fact own Solgaleo. Like, it's actually his Pokemon. That makes complete sense. They had a huge bond in the anime together. So we battle and add Solgaleo to our team for our final team member. We scale Mount Lanakila next, and we find Necrozma once again. And we let Solgaleo get his get back for what happened at the altar. He destroyed Necrozma in this fight. Lastly, we evolve our Pokémon into Naganadel, and now it's finally time for the final fight of the game. We've arrived at the Alola Pokemon League, and having it inside of the tallest mountain in the region is so sick. First, we face Elite Four Steel type user Mullane. He leads with Clefairy, which is really annoying because it's like a screens type of Pokemon, and it goes for a light screen and a reflect. So we bring in our Lycanroc Dusk and break the screens with a Brick Break, and Lycanroc KOs Clefairy next turn with another Brick Break. Metagross comes in next, and we bring in Torracat to 1v1 him, and Torracat takes a lot of damage from a Meteor Mash, goes to the Fire Blast, and does huge damage, and also burns the Metagross. Thanks to that burn, Torracat tanks and Headbutt and knocks out Metagross. Alolan Bug Trio comes in next, and we bring in Rowlet on the Earthquake, but then he goes to the Steel type Z move and completely shreds our poor Rowlet, bro. We bring in our badass Solgaleo next, just for him to almost get one shot by Earthquake, and we go for a Flare Blitz, and it thankfully takes down the Alolan Bug Trio. But we took a lot of damage on that Earthquake, when you take recoil and just barely hang out from the recoil damage. Bisharp comes in next, and we go for another Flare Blitz, and Bisharp just barely lives it, and we die to recoil, so Solgaleo goes down. But then Pikachu takes down Bisharp with Thunderbolt, and Torracat takes down Magnezone. 1 down, 3 to go. Next, we face my Black Queen Olivia, and she leads with Armaldo. Now it's time for some Naganadel screen time. And I kind of want to see if I can sweep her entire team with just Naganadel, because we get a nice special attack Beast Boost every time we get a KO. But then she brings in Probopass, and this thing is just so damn tanky, bro. We do absolutely no damage with Thunderbolt, and I'm gonna get paralyzed by Thunder Wave. Naganadel does win 1v1 against Probopass, and just barely misses the KO on Gigalith with Dragon Pulse, and we go down to Bulldoze. Naganadel did good, but just couldn't pull the sweep off. I tried Rowlet, but he got one shot by Stone Edge on Gigalith. So we bring in Solgaleo and destroy Gigalith, nuke Lycanroc, and absolutely body Cradily with Solgaleo's Z move. That's 2 down, 2 more to go. Now we face the Ghost type user Incineroar, and once again I'm going to try and pull off on the Naganadel sweep. But she swaps to Palisand as I bring in Rowlet, and Rowlet thankfully wins 1v1 here by taking him out with Energy Ball. Frostlass comes in and completely destroys Rowlet with Blizzard, and Torracat takes huge damage from a Shadow Ball and then misses the Fire Fang and loses the 1v1 to Frostlass. Lycanroc Dust thankfully takes down that Frostlass. Then Naganadel takes down Delmise, Bayonet, and Drifblim all back to back to back. 3 down, 1 to go. We're against Flying type user Kahili, and this should ideally be a field day for Pikachu, but Braviary somehow chooses Thunderbolt and then one-shots Pikachu with Crush Claw. But it's all good. We bring in Naganadel, and we finally get to pull off the Naganadel sweep I've been dying for. We knock out Braviary with Sludge on, get the special attack boost, and then we clean through her entire team with a combination of Dragon Pulse and Thunderbolt. For our final battle, we evolve Torracat into Incineroar because Ash's Torracat evolved in his final battle in the Sun and Moon anime. Now we face Hal for title of Versus Alola champion, and we kick things off with our brand new Incineroar against Hal's Alola Raichu. We dodge Focus Blast, and then we destroy Raichu with a single Darkness Lariat. Could not have asked for a better start than that, bro. Hal brings in Vaporeon next, and we bring in Pikachu on the Baby Doll Eyes. Thankfully, he didn't go for a Water type move. That would have done too much damage. I have no clue how, but Vaporeon stomached our Thunderbolt. We do get paralysis. It doesn't even matter though, because Hal does not get paralyzed. Hits the Hydro Pump and one-shots Pikachu from 4, bro. Pikachu cannot cut it anymore. The game's way too late. Goat Rowlet comes in and knocks out Vaporeon with Leaf Blade. Then Crabominable comes in as we go into Solgaleo and completely nuke that poor crab with a single Sunsteel Strike. Hal brings in Tauros next. He outspeeds and lands a huge Earthquake, but we thankfully hang on. And I am wasting no time, bro. We go for our Solgaleo Z move and completely nuke that Tauros. Now it's Hal's Noivern versus our Naganadel, and Naganadel sadly gets destroyed by Noivern's Dragon Pulse, bro. Naganadel did absolutely nothing in this battle. Lycanroc takes a ton of damage from Dragon Pulse, but lands the Stone Edge and destroys Noivern. Now it's Hao's last Pokemon Decidueye, and Decidueye goes for the Bloom Doom Z move to nuke our Lycanroc. And there's only one way to finish this battle. We have to do the Rowlet Decidueye mirror match. In the anime, this fight was so intense, bro, and I'm moving just like the anime. Rowlet tanks the Spirit Shackle, goes for the Brave Bird, and destroys the Decidueye, winning us the battle against Hao. With that, we are Alola's first ever champions that have beaten Pokemon Ultra Sun using Ash's Alola team minus Melmetal, of course. If you were a fan of this video, like, comment, subscribe. This was so much fun to do. It also was really hard. This team kind of sucks. It's weak to ground. It's so weak to ground. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Peace.